right, so Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, huge story. I'm going to read you. I'm going to read you from Jeff Bezos's post. This is a letter that he sent to the Washington Post team a couple of days ago, and I think this has, a lot of upside, a lot of positive potential for the cause of freedom and liberty, and for the cause of actually reversing the damage that is being done to this country every single day for 100 years now, and that is being accelerated by the current administration. This is what Jeff Bezos writes. And remember, the Washington Post, he owns it. He bought it years ago. Washington Post is generally considered a pretty left-wing publication. It's got some of the most awfully left-wing reporting in the country. It's got an editorial page that's pretty left. It's got one free market guy, George Will, who's excellent, but just one. An anti-Trump free market guy, not surprisingly. But that is all. They have nothing else. Okay, I'm quoting from Jeff Bezos. I'm ready to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. Opinion pages, I will emphasize. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. Whoa, that is huge. The Washington Post are committing every day to publishing editorials, op-eds on personal liberty and free markets. Wow. I continue from what he wrote. There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. And this is amazing, this formulation. I love this formulation. I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. I'm going to repeat that. I am of America and for America, and proud to be so. Our country did not get here by being typical. And a big part of America's success, his success, right, has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. Now that is stunning. This is not some America First bromide stupidity. I was born in this country, therefore it's the best, as so many out there have, right? This is the identification of what makes America unique. What makes America unique? And what makes America unique is freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. That is freedom. Now, when was the last time you heard Trump talk about freedom? Never. And Ukraine example is a good example. They're fighting for their freedom against a brutal dictatorship. You won't hear Trump talk about freedom. When do they talk about freedom domestically? Or even free markets? How about personal liberties? No, these topics never come up. Maybe, Rand Paul or one or two House members once in a while mention the word freedom. But here is one of the richest men in the world, the second or third richest in America, actually saying that I'm of America and for America, but then he tells you what America is. A big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. And then he tells us the moral is the practical, which is a stunning statement that can only come from one author. Just saying, her influence is here. Freedom is ethical. It minimizes coercion. And practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jeff. One of the best statements I've seen from a business leader in a long, long, long time. Can't think, last time John Allison made a public statement. Comes in second, I guess. John Allison's much better. And on energy stuff, we've seen some really good statement. But this, from somebody of Bezos' stature and wealth, is pretty amazing. Now, you can complain about why it took him so long. Yeah, good question. Or alternatively, you could celebrate that he did it. Now, we'll get to the question of why he did it now in a minute, because I'm sure many of you think he did it to suck up to Trump, and maybe he did, and we'll find out in the months to come, because the only way you can defend personal liberties and free markets is to attack Trump, criticize Trump policies, criticize tariffs, criticize the lack of deregulation, criticize his economic ignorance. So we'll see if Bezos is willing to have that published on the pages of the Washington Post, because you have to criticize Trump policies if you're going to really stand for personal liberties and free markets. So we'll see. I'm going to go on and say, this is from Bezos' post. I offered David Shipley, who I greatly admire, the opportunity to lead this new chapter. David Shipley is the current editor of the opinion page in the Washington Post. I suggested to him that if the answer wasn't hell yes, then it had to be no. That is, if you're not passionate about this new direction, you should leave. After careful consideration, David decided to step away. Good for Shipley. Good for his integrity. This is not what he wants. He doesn't believe in this. Walking away. Good for him. This is a significant shift. It won't be easy, and it will require 100% commitment. I respect his decision. We'll be searching for a new opinion editor to own this new direction. Just so everybody knows, I am available, although I'm not sure I'd be a very good opinion editor, but I am available, and I would learn on the job. I'd hire as my deputy Don Watkins, and I think together we'd be amazing at this job. He goes on, I'm confident that free markets and personal liberties are right for America. I also believe these viewpoints are underserved in the current market of ideas and news opinions. No kidding. I'm excited for us together to fill that void. Jeff. Now, you can complain, you can nitpick, but the reality is he's finally stood up. Maybe he should have done it when he first bought the Washington Post. Yes. But he's done it. Better late than never. Maybe John Galt came to him in the middle of the night last night, or maybe he read Atlas Shrugged again, or maybe, who knows? But he's made the shift. So let's reject it because he should have done it earlier. Yeah, not going to get excited because he should have done it earlier. Now, the real question is he doing this to suck up to Trump? I don't think so. This is not the language you would use if you were going to suck up to Trump. You would say something about making America great again, or America first, or some stupid thing like that. You would not be as clear and unequivocal as personal liberties and free markets. You would not talk about what made America great was freedom in economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom, being ethical. Ethical. I don't think that appeals to Trump. And practical. Associating freedom with minimizing coercion, associating ethical with minimizing coercion, that's all good stuff. So I think this could be huge. Now, I could be wrong. I could be naive. It could be that he's just turning the paper into a Trump vehicle. I don't think so. I don't think Jeff Bezos, who gave us Amazon, who was one of the great, unequivocally one of the great entrepreneurs of the 20th century, certainly of the late 20th century, one of the great innovators, built an unbelievable business, not just in terms of Amazon delivery, the stuff you buy, but also, cloud computing, really invented cloud computing. The fact that we have the server farms, the cloud computing that we have today, all of that is Amazon. What he created here is truly a magnificent company. Now, he's left, and maybe it's not quite as good as it used to be, unquestionably. And as you go big, it's very hard to manage a big company. But the reality is, this is one of the great entrepreneurs of the 20th century and 21st century. And it's fantastic for him to say this. Now, here's the other way of interpreting this, because I don't think this is to suck up to Trump. But what I do think this is, and maybe this explains why he didn't do this earlier, is that he might have been intimidated in the past by the politics of it. So certainly while he was running Amazon, it might have been that he didn't have the Washington Post actually express his views because, assuming his free market views are real, because he didn't want to antagonize Obama and first Trump and then Biden. Remember that, Trump threatened the Washington Post on several occasions to shut them down. So it is, I do think that he might have been held back because of politics. And maybe, the vibe has shifted, as they say. Trump coming in has maybe made it possible, he feels, to come out and state this. Now, again, the real challenge is going to be, if he's serious about this, he will devote real resources to criticizing Trump. Right? And, it's, we will see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. The Wall Street Journal had interesting comment, and they were like, yeah, it's great. We already are for freedom and for free markets and all of that. So welcome to space. The final paragraph in the editorial is, we'll see if Mr. Bezos signals a larger change in the battle of ideas. But it will be good to have a wingman in the fight. As for our discerning readers, our respectful counsel is, accept no substitutes. Sample the competition, but come back for the real thing. So the Wall Street Journal supposedly is positioning itself there. And mostly, Wall Street Journal editorials can be quite good. They have too often been too nice to Trump. And they've been too often on some issues being anti-freedom and anti-liberty, personal freedom, personal liberty. So we will indeed see maybe a healthy competition between the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post about who can be more pro-freedom, who could be more pro-free markets and personal liberty. I can't think of anything better. Two, of the most significant newspapers in the country, two newspapers identified as national important media, mainstream media, competing to who can be more free market. Now note, this change with regard to the newspaper, and this is true of the Wall Street Journal as well, is regarding the editorial page. It is not regarding the reporters. The Washington Post has some of the most left-wing, anti-American, horrible reporters anywhere. And it'll be interesting to see if this editorial shift actually, affects the reporters as well as everything else. So this is this will be interesting to see how it affects the reporting, and it'll be interesting to see what exactly actually happens at the editorial page of the Washington Post. Here's Cliff Asness basically reasserting what I suggested about Bezos. Cliff has been on a roll lately, but if you don't follow Cliff on Twitter, Follow Cliff Asness on Twitter. He's excellent. Quote, Bezos is roundly criticized on the left for bending the knee to Trump, while they ignore that focusing on free markets and free people is quite obviously moral and economically correct, in my humble opinion. Let me try one other theory on you. Bezos has always believed in these rather obvious truths. It's only that in the prior regimes, for a long time, believing in the obviously fight was cancelable, even for a guy like Bezos. If that's true, it's a wonderful change. Of course, I have no idea if I'm actually right. So anyway, Cliff's opinion on why this change happened.